Wait. Actually, no. We're not gonna do this one like we normally do. We're not gonna do it with this bullshit. Now, cut my goddamn music.
We lost everything. We had to pay the price. Yeah, we lost everything.
Well, ain't that much fucking better? Hi. I'm actually not any kind of admin for DBI. Name's Johnny Blackhand. Today, I'm going to be doing a roleplay review for, I don't know, I guess this is for Swan Song, and it's called The Final Dance, Achilles 1 Memory. Now, I'm a man who pays back his debts, and I kinda owe one, or at least Riz does, for a log that he reviewed for him. And as Riz was planning on doing his review, I said, you know what? No one knows this corporal bullshit better than me, so I'm going to be the one to do the review. Now, this log that we have here, it's done by Eichenbahn, and it's for one of his side characters called Swan Song. What you're looking at here is, well, part of the log. And from what I understand, Eichenbahn is really good at taking the normal structure of a role play that's normally just words and letters and prophecies spit on page and flipping it on its head to create something new and creative. So here we are. We're in Swan Song files. We scroll down and we go into training and we open it up. And all of this is stuff that Ike has put together himself to give you kind of an immersion of his log and what we're talking about here. I'm not going to lie, the first time I looked at it, I said, what the fuck is this bullshit on my screen? But it wasn't until after reading through it that I started to understand that the bullshit is really the deep and best parts of what you're seeing. And you gotta expand your mind beyond what the corpos are out there telling you and really dig deep to see the true meaning behind things. So, what do we know about Swan Song? Nothing, really. But looking at these, we see that there's specs and shit of some sort of android being built. And we go deeper and deeper. And if you kind of look at all the things over here, it's all telling you things about both Swan Song and the person who ends up finding them. If you can put it all together. If you're smart enough to put it together. And it opens up, well, we're on Braid. Of course we are, because where else in the goddamn universe would shit this bad be? And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I am going to tell you a little bit about what's going on. What Ike has done here is he's pretty much told you that on Braid, there are these people that are just digging through bodies. I think he calls them corpse runners, and they're just pulling pieces of shit off of whatever they can find, just trying to make a living. Honest people. And then they get flatline, iced. They're corpse merchants, is what he called them. But what they find is this pile of nothing that's been laying there, right? She's brought into auction and put on the bright market the very next day. Some out of your mind shit, right? Because where did this corpse come from? And I say corpse because she's not moving, but really, she's a goddamn android who's just been deactivated a little bit. And then she's bought, and then she's used, and then she's bought, and then she's used, and she's bought, and she's used over and over again. Decades, centuries, millennia, who the hell knows? But all we do know is that her name's been redacted from files. She actually doesn't even know who or what she is, at least in her own memory bank. And this is kind of the horrific end of what she looks like. After years of what she calls abuse, mostly for things that most of you sick fucks already know what we're talking about. But for those of you who don't, use your goddamn imagination, alright? And that's what she was. She was a doll. She was a tool. She was used up and thrown out. And then people would piece her back together only to get what they wanted out of her and then throw her away. And that's what those Sokka assholes and all those other corpos would do to you. If you let them. If you let them in. So Swan Song is sitting here in this trash dispenser. She's been eaten away at, right? Acidic rain and just years of neglect. Her circuits are falling apart. She's barely even a person anymore. And finally, she notices that something's coming. She's going to be yet again another tool for somebody else to play with. And right when she was ready to give up on everything, she snaps out. She wakes up. She kills before she has to go through that hell again. And when she does, well, that's when she's found. She's found by Cyver, who was probably hunting this son of a bitch down anyway. Ends up putting 2 shotgun shells in the poor Choom's ass. And then it's all over from there. Now, you may be thinking, well, what the hell? What was the point? I don't know. It's not my story. All I know is that this is a sad tale of someone who was built to be used, someone who was built to be pieced together and then sold for the cheapest amount. I think even in one part, right here, she was sold for 12,000 zenny, less than a used air car. It's a sad fate for someone, and I think that's the point. I think the whole point of this entire story was the lack of choice. I think what Ike was really trying to say here is that Swan Song finally made a choice to live, to put their life above anybody else's. And in that moment, they fucking came alive. They asked for help for the first time ever. Now, I'm not one to sit here and say, was this a good story? Was this a bad story? It's her story. It's not mine. But maybe I'll take a back seat and let some other asshole tell you about it. Hey, thank you, Johnny Blackhand. I appreciate it. You did a decent enough job, but I'm pretty sure I got it from here. Okay, buddy? Yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna recede to the back of your mind like I always am. Yeah, okay. Well, we do this together. You and I, we can get it done. But I think that people want to hear from me. Okay, got that? Thanks, Johnny. We'll see you later. Hi, guys. Sorry. But, Johnny kind of pretty hit it on the head. This is a log where Swan Song, as we're going to call them, we don't know what they were built for. We don't know kind of why they came to be, but all we know is that they did not have a very easy go at it. And, I would say this is more of like a biography, right? And when Ike asked me to read this one after I was done with it, I asked him specifically, I was like, why this log, right? Like, because contained in itself, it doesn't really tell you anything. This is like an episode. Like I said, it's more of like a biography. It's more of like a beginning. And there are some really good parts to this log where it's very visceral. It is very it's Braid, right? So Braid has always been kind of Ike's cyberpunk Death Valley playground, right? Very bleak, very, very dark. And we don't know why this android was made. And it doesn't even seem like this is an android. This seems like it's more of like like a robot who suddenly gains consciousness beyond what it was programmed to do, and then it sees like kind of like up here, right, all these past memories of, you know, what have I been doing, and you know, how many lifetimes have I been doing it, and it's an existence that they kind of never wanted, it seems like. And at the very end, like, they're talking about how they like actually want to die. And you know, they're talking about how, you know, if no one would find her before the street cleaners came, they would be crushed into scrap metal by a vice, and that would finally put them out of their misery. And you know, it's a very dark story. It's a very Cyver story, though, right? This is what Cyver has always been. This is what he's always looked like, right? At some point, even Cyver was like this, where he was like a head floating in a tank connected to a bunch of machines to keep him alive. So, you know, as someone who's read this character for as long as I have, I'm not surprised. But the things I would say about it, right? Would I recommend like everybody go out and read this log? If there's more, right? If there is more to this character, sure. Because the reason I asked Ike why did he want me to read this is because by itself it's a good tale, and it's not self-contained though, right? There kind of is no beginning, middle, and end. There's just a here's what was, and we're seeing it in this is episode 1 of of an anime, right? And it's the one that gets you hooked in. You're very curious at the end as like, okay, so, you know, I know that this is Cyber who picked him up just because of the things up here. You know, it even says Cyber 1, Cyber 2. What really told me was the Astro Slide 1, Astro Slide 2. And, you know, the clues are all there. And if you're someone who's versed in Cyberism, then yeah, you would absolutely know. The thing that I guess stood out to me the most was towards the end, and it's the thing that I actually don't like the most about the log, if I were to say if there was something I don't like, and it's this right here. Can I pick you up? Blink twice for yes, once for no. Because in my mind, the way that I see it, right, you see this, what I'm assuming is, again, just like a torso, maybe a moving part. I'm thinking like a broken mannequin, and you see that it just killed somebody, so you know that it's still functioning, right? You know that it is alive. And the whole, like Johnny said, the whole story of this is consent. It's, you know, no one ever saw this android as a person. It was just a thing. And to me, it was too on the nose to be like, I'm the one that's going to give you consent. I would have liked just a hint of conflict here. And when I say hint of conflict, I'm not talking about battle. I'm not talking about all that. But I'm talking that, like, sure, Cyver saw this thing kill his bounty, which I'm assuming that was his bounty. And yes, it knows that it's dangerous, but this is Cyver, right? Like, I'm not the thing that you just killed. Like, I'm fucking Batman. If I want something from you, it's like when Batman takes Green Lantern's ring, right? Like, if I want to take your ring off, I will take your ring off. And I feel like for Swan Song, it would have been a better character moment to have him kind of do that, of like, cool, thanks for killing that thing. I'm gonna, like, eat, maybe not even from her, like, there's something behind you that I'm gonna go get, and she thinks that, you know, he is now another one, and then she, like, you know, reaches out, lashes out, whatever, and then he has like a, oh shit, like, you are responding to me directly. Okay, and like he kind of slowly pieces it together and figures it out. He still kind of then come to this point. It was just too quick for me, right? And I think, you know, that would be like one of my suggestions in this, because it kind of comes, again, it just comes too on the nose that like Cyver knows what's wrong with all of this backstory that we had, right? And he just kind of innately is just like, yep, you've never been given consent, so give me the consent to even pick you up. It was to me, it was just too quick and too on the nose. Does it take away from the log at all? Absolutely not. No, it doesn't. It's at the very end. So if this has more weight, there we go. If that has more weight than all that, then you know, I've failed as a person who have read all this. But it's a sad start, right? And I don't think that anybody who ever starts on Braid has a happy start. You know. And at the very end, I thought it was kind of cute how he like removed his poncho, and he's kind of wearing her. It reminds me of Jakaro. Jakaro is a character. He's a Wookiee in Star Wars: The Old Republic, who, like Chewbacca, has a 3PO unit, kind of like as his armor, and the 3PO unit is like talking to people. It's you know. Chewie and C-3PO, and it just gave me that kind of vibes at the end. But yeah, this was a good log. I just wish and hope that maybe in the future we get more from this, especially with what Ike shared with me in private about like what this character is supposed to be. You know, I would like to see that sort of legacy move on. My other worry, though, is that, and I know that Ike's in retirement or in their trophy wife phase, is that if this character does start to interact with normal DBI universe, it may clash just a tiny bit, right? It's hard to be this stylized, which is so far off from, you know, the source material, which, you know, I think that's why Johnny came out for me today, because it hits more on a cyberpunk feel. And from what I know, this was done in February of this year, and Ike only recently started playing Cyberpunk. So for him to be that that accurate, but you know, like I feel like those two universes would kind of clash. But I would like to see it, right? I would like to see how Swan Song would interact with a Cordio, with a Gene, right? But yeah, it's good log. It's something that I wish we didn't lose in my hiatus at the start of the year, and that hopefully, you know, with this review, it lights a fire into Ike to at least, you know, I won't say come out of retirement, but like Toriyama in his later years, like give notes and, you know, participate unofficially, you know, hands-off approach to at least tell us more about Swan Song, because I feel like there's a lot of potential here with this character. So thanks a lot. Good job.